Thankfully, we haven't had any reports of damage from the National Weather Service, but this warning will last for another 15 minutes. Meteorologist Alexa Trishler has been tracking the storm and rejoins us with the latest on the projected path. I guess some of the good news here is that it's moving pretty quickly, huh?
It is moving quickly, and like I keep mentioning, we don't have the best information. Let me just start off right from the top. We have a tornado warning in effect for parts of our river parishes, western St. Charles, St. John the Baptist, and the eastern parts of St. James. But the storm itself is moving right through St. John and western St. Charles, getting close to the Mississippi River. The tornado warning does not include the populated parts of St. John and St. Charles. The tornado warning is in effect until 12:15, but the reason why it's more difficult, like I've been mentioning, to see this storm is because our radar site in Hammond is down. We are using the radar site in Mobile, Alabama. Not just us, the National Weather Service is also utilizing that site in Mobile. So they are doing this out of an abundance of caution. They issued the tornado warning just to be safe. A few minutes ago, earlier this morning, they did see, some radar indicated rotation. Now would be a good time if you live along the Mississippi River in St. Charles, St. John. Stay indoors, stay away from any windows, get into the lowest level of your home just to play it safe and wait this storm out. Again, we are going to be watching this tornado warning until 12:15. I want to give you a bigger picture for today. Today, we have the possibility to see more severe weather. We've got clouds, we've got showers, we've got some strong storms right now on the North Shore and in South Mississippi. Some heavy rain happening along I-59 in South Mississippi, St. Tammany Parish, including Slidell, some heavier showers, some thunderstorms. And these storms are moving from south to north. There are some gaps in the rain across the North Shore, but also looking ahead to the South Shore, some heavier showers for the coast, for St. Bernard Parish. And the only severe storm we are watching, the only tornado warning, the only warning that's issued is this tornado warning rather for the river parishes. Tornado warning is in effect until 12:15. But today, we will see more scattered storms that could produce tornadoes or at least strong wind gusts and heavy rain. So we have an afternoon ahead where we could see more warnings issued. And that's something that you definitely want to stay weather aware of today. Have your phone charged, have a way to get information. So getting through the afternoon, scattered storms, heavy showers, isolated street flooding certainly possible. Wind gusts up to 50 to 60 miles per hour are possible. The risk is isolated like we are seeing now, but it's there. The risk for severe weather is certainly present today, and we could see an isolated tornado or two, like we are seeing an isolated tornado warning at this point. No reports of any damage just yet. Hopefully that continues to be the trend, but I think for the afternoon and into the evening until about 7 o'clock this evening, we will have scattered showers and storms across the area, and we could see some more strong and severe weather this afternoon throughout the early evening. That's because we have a cold front coming in. We've got a very warm and moist air mass, and it's all coming together, unfortunately, to give us a weather impact alert day where we have severe storms to track. Like I mentioned earlier, the severe risk has been upgraded to a level 2, and that encompasses the North Shore, South Mississippi, and parts of the New Orleans metro area. So earlier today, we were at a level 1 everywhere. Now we're at a level 2. Severe risk has been increased a little bit. So it's not popping off the charts, but strong to severe storms certainly possible. The gusty winds and the isolated tornadoes are the biggest concern, plus some heavier downpours. We could see some isolated street flooding across the area, especially for the North Shore as we get into the afternoon and early evening. Rainfall totals can range from 1 to 2 inches. It just depends on where the storms are. Make sure you drive carefully today. Make sure you have a way to get weather alerts, whether on your phone, whether on the radio, on our app. As this front comes in, we actually, after today, we're going to be good. We're going to have quiet weather. Drier air is going to move in late tonight. We'll be done with humidity. It's going to be nice. It's actually going to be a lot cooler tomorrow morning. Temperatures mostly in the 60s to start our Thursday morning. Tomorrow, sunny and dry. No worries with the weather for the rest of the work week. Temperatures only in the 70s tomorrow. Really nice weather. We'll talk more about the tropics later, but there is one spot in the Caribbean that we're going to be watching that could be headed to Florida later next week. And again, I just wanted to quickly get into the 7-day forecast. Again, we'll talk more about the tropics later. Not a concern for us, but unfortunately still talking about tropical weather. Before we get to the tropics later, I just want to show you again a recap. Today is the only day where we have some rough weather, and then the rest of the week is going to be quiet. Let me pop back onto the radar to show you what the tornado warning is looking like at this point. I also want to refer back to the National Weather Service to see if there are any updates from them as they've been, watching this storm. They issue the tornado warnings. Nothing coming in from them just yet. Okay, now I'm getting an update from the National Weather Service. Let's see. It's talking about how the radar in Hammond is down. Let's see. Nothing new coming in about the tornado warning just yet, unfortunately. So no information, no new information. You know what? Sometimes no new information is good. Hopefully we'll continue to see the trend. There are no reports of any damage, no reports of anything of that nature. The storm is starting to move out of the confines of the tornado warning, which is kind of a good sign in that the National Weather Service has not felt the need to reissue the warning or continue the warning northward. They're letting the storm move out of the confines of the warning, and it's moving towards the river. So just to play it safe, stay inside, wait for the storm to pass. If you're right along the river in St. John the Baptist and St. Charles Parish, just wait for the storm to go by. If you're along Louisiana 18, if you're in Lafourche, if you're in this general area along the river in St. John the Baptist, stay inside, wait for the storm to pass by. It's moving by quickly, and the positive lining here, the silver lining, is that this tornado warning is not included in those areas. It's to the south. It's not being extended, which means the National Weather Service may, note and see that this storm doesn't have the capacity to rotate anymore. We're going to continue to watch this, but so far it looks like things are looking, to be trending in a positive direction. But as the storm passes over the river, just, wait it out, wait for the storm to come by your home.
Alexa, is this kind of the setup for the rest of the day? These small little cells can kind of pop up here and there. We need to watch it. And do we have like a time frame, I guess, when most of this is kind of going to be done with? So
yes, I think throughout the course of today, some of these storms will, they could rotate. Hopefully we don't get a whole lot, but the severe risk is there through the afternoon until about 7 o'clock tonight at the latest. So through the next several hours, really the midday from now until about dinner time, we'll be watching for these isolated storms that could rotate, that could produce a tornado, or at least a tornado warning. Just because the warning is issued doesn't mean something is happening, but it's a good indication that these storms could rotate today. We could see some more isolated tornado warnings and some strong wind gusts. Outside of any rotation, outside of any tornadoes, these storms have the capacity to produce strong wind gusts up to 50, 60 miles per hour, plus heavy rain and street flooding is something we'll also have to watch throughout the afternoon until about 7 o'clock tonight.
I know we kind of are still dealing with the outage up there in Hammond. Just kind of what is that? How does that play into effect when it comes to watching and seeing what we see on the radar?
Right. So before I get to that, I just got a new update from the National Weather Service. Rotation attempting to tighten back up south of Edgard, so they're going to decide within the next 5 minutes if they're reissuing a tornado warning along this path. So they're going to continue to assess this to see if it's strengthening up. But like I mentioned, if you're right along the river, if you're in Edgard, right along the Mississippi in St. John, the Baptist Parish, just wait for this storm to pass by. If you're in Reserve, if you're in Laplace, if you're in Mons, let the storm get on through and just stay away from the windows and doors. Don't try to go outside and capture any video of this thing. But like you had asked Mike about the radar site, so our typical radar site that we use that's closest to us in Hammond, Louisiana, is down today. It was working earlier, but then there's some sort of communication issue, I believe. And it's not just us, all the local media and the National Weather Service are facing the same issue. So the National Weather Service is seeing this strong storm that could rotate, but from the Mobile radar site in Mobile, Alabama, so it's kind of far away. So sometimes, since it is so far away and these storms are being scanned high up from the radar, it kind of distorts exactly what the radar beam is looking at. So it may look more dangerous than it is, but out of an abundance of caution, the National Weather Service says let's issue these tornado warnings just in case the storm is rotating, and we don't want to miss it. Just because our radar is down that we use that's closest to us, we can use nearby radar that can, assess a storm the same way. Maybe not in the most top-notch way, but pretty good to see, that the storms, could produce tornadoes. So that's why it kind of looks weird. The radar looks weird, and I try to pull up different elements that we use, like correlation coefficient and the velocity to show you the winds sometimes we watch these storms and you see the red and the green that go back to back, and that shows rotation. It's hard to see that when the radar site is so far away, so it doesn't look as, doesn't really jump off the screen as much, and that's why it's hard when you initiate tornado warnings in storms like these. Are we going too much? Like, is it okay? Is everything okay? Or, I don't want to miss this thing, and we have a tornado on the ground, which has not been confirmed. There's no confirmed tornado yet. There's no reports of any damage yet. I hope that continues to be the case, but just like the National Weather Service is thinking, just like I'm thinking, if you're along the Mississippi River in St. John and St. Charles Parish, stay inside. From Mons to Reserve, Laplace, wait for the storm to pass by, and it is moving by pretty quickly. It's just about to cross the river, at least the northern side of the storm is at this point.
So we have a traffic cam, I believe. We're going to go to Laplace now. This is just kind of a bird's eye view, if you will. This is the intersection of Highway 51 and Highway 61 there in Laplace and St. John Parish. You can kind of see just how gray the skies are. The rain's already kind of pushing through. This would be on the kind of eastern, I guess, side of that storm cell that Alexa was just tracking as it was kind of moving north, right there, about to go above the river. Of course, this is the first, I guess, major, when it comes to population, the major area of concentration when it comes to people in relation to where that storm kind of popped up and where it's going to head once it kind of gets a little north of Laplace, because it still has to go kind of up the I-55 corridor there, across the lake and in those unpopulated areas. Right. So I guess that's some good news when you talk about the potential for that strengthening and then that tightening that the Weather Service is kind of seeing. But if they're just if they're not going to extend that box up a little further north, is that kind of indicative that they think that this storm is just kind of going to not dissipate, but kind of lose strength a bit?
So they're going to continue to watch and see how it looks. Again, they're still kind of flying blind with the radar site being so far away, but they are assessing it now to see if they're going to reissue the tornado warning in that direction towards the north, because right now it looks like it could be attempting to tighten up and strengthen, but it's not a guarantee that they are seeing that from what they're looking at. But they're going to just monitor the trends and decide whether it's going to be continued, the issuance of this tornado warning will be continued. The fact that they haven't done it yet, I know they're being cautious. They don't want to cause too much alarm, but they don't want to miss a dangerous storm either. So they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place themselves to see, should we go with this? But I think, if they are seeing the signs that this looks all right, and the fact that they haven't issued it yet is kind of a good sign. But no matter what, even though there's not a tornado warning in effect for the more populated areas along the river here in St. John the Baptist and in St. Charles, still wait it out. Wait for the storm to come through, because you never know. Even if it's not rotating, it's a strong storm. It's producing quite a bit of lightning, some gusty winds within there, and some heavier showers. So just not a good time to get outside in that area.
And this is really the only trouble spot, I guess, that we have on the entire radar at this point, even though there are some areas that have some cells moving through, some storms moving through, even heavy rain in some areas, especially down in South Mississippi.
Right, so this is the only warning we're dealing with, the only severe warning, the only tornado warning that we have on the map. Good news right now. Could that change later today? It's possible. Like we've been talking about, we've had this severe risk with us. It's in effect through the course of today. Severe weather is still possible. It's not a guarantee, but the storms have the capacity to produce, strong winds, heavy rain, even isolated tornadoes are possible within these storms. But looking in across the area, the heaviest of the rain is along I-59 in South Mississippi. That's where the heavier showers and stronger storms are now. Heaviest rain moving basically from south to north. There are some gaps in the rain, like Tangipahoa Parish, most of the North Shore, not so bad right now. Slidell seeing some heavier showers, though. They're seeing some heavy rain, some rumbles of thunder in the Slidell area. No severe weather happening on the North Shore at this point, and there's no other severe storms on the South Shore either. Coastal spots, Galliano seeing some heavier rain, but we're just tracking this one. And the storm has actually moved out of the tornado warned box. It's interesting that, of all days, the radar that we depend on is having an issue, and we're using data that's kind of far away that we can't, get as clear of a picture. So it's interesting to see that, the warning is still up until 12:15, but the storm has passed by and is out of the warning. The National Weather Service has not issued a new warning yet. I think they might believe what they're seeing is that things should be okay, that the storm should not be rotating anymore. But still, I don't want anyone to get outside and go about their business. Now, if you are along the river in Reserve, Laplace, Edgar. Stay inside. Wait for this strong storm to pass by. I'm sure if you're watching in these spots, the rain's probably hitting you, or it's about to start, and some rumbles of thunder certainly coming through, some flashes of lightning, and some gusty winds as the storm blows through now and crosses the Mississippi and in parts of St. Charles and mostly St. John the Baptist Parish right now. I do want to go ahead and see if there are any new updates from the National Weather Service, just because it is 12:15. That's when the warning is expected to expire, and it has popped off the screen and no longer is there. And there is no new information coming in from the National Weather Service. At this point, I don't think they have any plans to reissue a tornado warning. And like I mentioned, they're kind of flying blind as well, in that they're using a radar site that's far away. We're all facing the same issue. If you flip to any of the channels, it's all going to be the same sort of thing. And the National Weather Service also dealing with that not so clear information at this point. So tornado warning has expired. Still a strong storm crossing the Mississippi in St. John the Baptist in reserve. This includes parts of Laplace. It's moving to the north, so the storm is going to cross I-10 very shortly, and we're just going to continue to watch this. And we'll bring you the latest on your weather today. We'll talk more about what's going on today. There's going to be the risk for more severe weather later today in the afternoon and early evening. Plus, we'll talk about what's going on in the tropics, what changes you can expect. But I'm sure we want to get back into some regular news now, Mike.
Yeah, of course, certainly some good news out there coming from the